Hello and welcome back to another Tartan Talk Tuesday. This week is going to be a little bit controversial, or at least a little bit more controversial than my normal Tartan Talk videos. I'm going to talk about someone that is in the news all around the world, seemingly every hour of every day, Donald Trump. But more specifically, I'm going to talk about his connection to Scotland. So let's jump right in. If we start from the beginning, we go back to Donald's mother, Mary MacLeod. She is born and bred in Scotland in the Isle of Lewis. Incidentally, Donald's paternal grandparents, his mother, and two of his three wives were all immigrants to the United States. His mother immigrated to New York City in the 30s, and while she had been back and forth to Scotland many times until her death in 2000, and she was a fluent Gaelic speaker. Donald has only been to her homestead one time in 2008, and he spent a total of 97 seconds in his mother's homestead with his Scottish cousins. Of note, Trump's sister, Marianne Trump Barry, who, by the way, is a US federal judge. Incidentally, it was Bill Clinton who appointed her as a US federal judge back when he was president. Anyway, his sister made regular visits over to Scotland and to visit with their cousins and did lots of work for the island during her visits. Incidentally, Donald Trump's mother, Mary, is buried in a cemetery in New York City, and more than 1/3 of the residents surrounding the cemetery are foreign-born. In 2011, a documentary was released called You've Been Trumped that followed the build and subsequent controversy following the Trump International Golf Course in Aberdeen. The build started in 2006. The local council had actually voted against Trump being allowed to use the land, but a few national politicians vetoed their vote, citing all of the economic growth that Trump was saying was going to come to the area. Essentially, the documentary covers Donald Trump's bullying of the homeowners in the area to try and sell their homes to him so that he can use them for the golf course. Luckily for us, the Scottish people tend to be known for their stubbornness, so they refused to move, and in retaliation, Trump built a bunch of berms, which are essentially earthen walls, and planted trees to block their view from their houses to the ocean. They also at one point tore down a man's fence, rebuilt the man's fence, and then sent him a bill for the fence. Sound familiar? In the aftermath of the documentary, the economic growth wasn't quite as promised. He initially promised $1.25 billion. Actual investment, $50 million at most. 2 golf courses. Actually, there's just 1 golf course. An 8-story, 450 luxury-style hotel, and 950 timeshare apartments. They just never happened. Either of those things. 6,000 jobs. There's actually 95 jobs. 95. Well, actually, a Trump representative said that that number is false. It's actually 150 jobs. So not 6,000 jobs, 150. There is now a second follow-up documentary called You've Been Trumped 2 that follows the residents still living there in the first documentary. Trump has since announced that he is going to be expanding said golf course, including adding another 18-hole golf course and, coincidentally, an 8-story, 450-room luxury-style hotel and 950 timeshare apartments. He had been appointed a Global Scot, which is essentially a business ambassador for executives with Scottish ties. The Scottish government has since revoked said title after his campaign promises to ban Muslims from visiting the US. Donald lashed back, saying that the Scottish government was foolish and small-minded. Incidentally, Robert Gordon University has also stripped him of his honorary degree they gave him several years ago, a degree which was heavily protested at the time he was getting it in the first place. The Donald has had many Scottish protesters over the years, from his golf courses to his campaign promises to his inauguration and now of late the Muslim travel ban. Some of the signs have been quite humorous, but my absolute favorite protest was from last June. A mariachi band called Juan Direction were accompanied by a wheelbarrow full of bricks. They were at the airport to greet Donald on one of his visits to his golf courses, and they played several hits, including Another Brick in the Wall. The mariachi band stunt was put on by Paddy Power, which is a somewhat controversial Irish betting shop chain. Piece of the week. Since the Donald's mother was a MacLeod, I thought we would double up on the MacLeod this week. So my piece of the week this week is going to be this strapless sweetheart neck crinoline skirted MacLeod of Lewis tartan dress. I always thought this piece was very youthful and bright and vibrant, and it's from one of my very first collections. So piece of the week this week is the strapless sweetheart necked crinoline skirted dress. Tartan of the week, I think you can see where this is going. Tartan of the week this week is MacLeod of Lewis for Mary MacLeod of Lewis. MacLeod of Lewis is one of the most recognizable tartans in the world. Some people call it the bumblebee tartan. It's sort of one of those love or hate kind of tartans, but those who love it a lot. So, tartan of the week this week, MacLeod of Lewis. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you have any future video ideas for me, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you next week with another Tartan Talk Tuesday. Cheers.